Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the one of the important example called lambda related example we identified here, and so observe carefully how we define this particular method related section, and it is expecting to write the one of the like multiple lines of code this particular body, the lambda body what we implemented. Let me show you the example what we discussed in the last session. Numeric function and lambda demo. Okay, here what we did here we are trying to create the one of the important example. So this particular lambda, now the body of the lambda, we try to define the multiple lines of code here. Okay, so whatever this particular lambda we define here, it is expected to write the multiple lines here. So far what we discuss here, this we'll call it as a single line of statement here. Okay, this will call it as a single line of statement here, and this will call it as a multiple line of statement here. So same, we are going to write another important example. So let me observe carefully how I'm trying to write the another important example. Basically, this example, what exactly it is doing here, it is trying to provide the factorial of this particular given number. Whatever the number I given, based on this particular number, the factorial value it is trying to get here. So nt dot test. nt dot test. Now here this test method, it is going to call this particular code. Internally we are trying to define as the default value as a 1, and this particular loop will repeat until this particular value will satisfy, because here it is expecting one parameter, the n. Now it is replaced with the help of this particular value called 5. So now you can see n is equals to 5. Okay, and here wherever we are using this particular n, now the value is going to replace it with this particular 5. So this the value we provided here. Now what happening internally, I less than or equals to 5. I is less than or equals to 5. I value initially 1. So we'll try to identify with the help of this particular example, 1 less than or equals to 5, and 2 less than or equals to 5, and 3 less than or equals to, so 3 less than or equals to 5, and 4 less than or equals to 5, and finally this particular 5 less than or equals to 5 also will satisfy, and whenever we are going to identify the 6 less than or equals to 6, this particular expression will become false. Okay, and whatever so far we return this, it will try to return as a true. And now what you understand, the loop is going to repeat how many times? 1 2 3 4 5. 5 times this particular loop is going to repeat, and whenever it is trying to repeat this particular loop as a 5 time, and internally what we are making this particular result we are having 1. Whenever I'm trying to having this particular result 1, and I value 1, and here 1 into result. Okay, 1 into result. 1 into result, right now what is the default value? 1. 1 into 1. The whole expression will become 1, and later I value will become 2. Okay, I value will become 2. Whenever the I value will become 2, what happens internally? Here 2 into result. 2 into result. What is the 2 into result we are going to have? Result earlier we are having 1, now it is modifying. So what happens internally? The result it's going to replace with this 2. Now the replace value, the result now it is 2, and I value 2 completed. I value 3. So I value 3, whenever I value 3, what happens internally? 3 into result. What is the result right now? 2. Here we are having the 2. So now we need to multiply this. Okay, the result will become 6 here. Okay, the result will be 6 here. I value 4, and so 4, I value 4 into 6 here. I value 4, and the result right now, the result what we are having 6. So if you observe this, I multiply result. I value 4. The result right now we are having 6. Now what is the result we are going to get again? So here we are going to get 24. So now if you observe carefully, so the result is now 24. So I value now it is modifying to 5, and finally what happens internally? 5 into result. What is the result we are having right now? 24. So observe carefully. Initially 1, result 1. Later it is modified to. Later it is modified to 6. Now it is modified to 24. So finally, the result, what is the result we are going to get as a 120? Okay, the result we are getting as a 120. So once I value 6, whenever I value 6, what happening is we are making as a false. The particular condition will make as a false here. Okay, this is important example we need to understand. So this is the way of increasing the I value. Okay, this is a way of increasing the I value, and this is a way of the result is modifying internally. Okay, this particular statement. This particular statement is going to look like this, and finally the right side, whatever this particular right side we are having, so this is the right side value, it is going to update it like this. Okay, this is the important example we discussed in the last example. So this is basically it is trying to give the result information, and this is the condition information. Okay, so this is the way of identifying the example how we write in the yesterday class. Okay, finally we are getting the 120. The 120 it is written by this particular result. For example, what happens internally if I'm going to modify as a 3. Okay, if I'm going to modify as a 3, what is the value we are going to get? Something like 6 we are getting. So here I did not modify this particular value. I need to make as a 3. Now you can see whenever I'm making the value we are getting as a 6. Okay, the value we are getting as a 6. This is important example. This is the one of the important example we need to understand. So observe carefully what we are doing it. Getting the point, what we are doing it here. Now based on this particular example, again what is the condition we can make? So here I value 1 initially, and the condition I less than or equals to 3. Okay, I how much? 1 less than or equals to 3. Okay, 2 less than or equals to 3, and 3 less than or equals to 3. Up to this will satisfy. Whenever the 4 less than or equals to 3, this expression will false. This expression will return false here. Now, so these are all the iteration will completed by the loop. How many iteration? It will done by the 3. And here I'm making, okay, here I'm making the result. So result how much initially? 1. So now I value how much? 1. What we are doing? So here 1 multiply the result. 1 multiply the result. The result I'm having 1. So the result also we are going to 1. So later it is modifying to I value 2. So condition will check here 2 less than or equals to 3 satisfy, and 2 less than 1. Okay, 2 less than 1. So what is the value we are going to get? I value how much? 2, and the result we are getting 1. So 2 multiply 1, the result will become 2. Okay, now I value will become 3. So now I value I'm passing as a 3, and the result I'm passing as a 2. Okay, so finally result how much we are going to get? 6 here. So after 6, I value will become 4. It is returning the false statement. It is coming, and finally this is the result we are going to return. Okay, so this is the result we are going to return here. This is the example of find out the one of the important example called factorial. Okay, this is a way of finding the factorial example. Getting the point. So this is very important example we are discussing here. Okay, now once we complete this particular factorial, the factorial logic, everything we define inside the body of the lambda. Okay, so this is the parameter we are providing, and this is the body. Now I'm going to write one more important example to find out the how this particular the same body of the lambda is going to work. So I'm trying to copy comment out this. I'm trying to comment out this particular example. Now I am trying to write this. So basically string function. Okay, so let me write this particular string function, how it is going to work. Here I'm trying to write this is the string function. It's like a functional interface I'm trying to write, and it is expecting the return type string, and the name of the function I'm making as the func, and it is expecting one parameter. Okay, it is expecting one parameter. So observe carefully. We are trying to discussing the string related section. It is trying to return the string name of the function. It is expecting one value as a string. Okay, We'll go to this example. Here I'm trying to write the function name. Okay, so string function, and if I'm going to make it, or something like f1 also we can give, and here it is expecting one parameter. Okay, here I'm trying to write the parameter as a same n I'm trying to write, or we can make as a str. So it is understandable str, and internally this is the body of the lambda I'm making. This is the body of the lambda I'm making. The body of the lambda, it should return something because the functional method is expecting to return something. Now how I'm trying to write? Now you can see, so same thing I'm making, string result. This is the default value of this particular string, and I'm going to write into I. Okay, into I I'm declaring it, and finally what I'm doing is, so I value, I'm trying to find out the reverse here. I'm trying to find out this particular reverse information. So now observe carefully how we can write. So this is, we discussed in the morning session, str dot length here, str dot length -1. Okay, the last index character I'm trying to load. After this, now what I'm doing is, I greater than or equals to 0. Okay, I greater than or equals to 0, and I minus minus. So this is the loop I'm making from the last to first. Getting the point? From last to first, I'm repeating this particular loop. After repeating this, now what I'm doing is, so now observe carefully, str dot carry, sorry, str dot caret I'm calling, and here I'm going to pass this particular I. Okay, whenever I'm trying to pass this particular I, what happens internally? It will try to return the last character. Okay, it will try to return the last character. So because the character like I value initially will get as a bigger value, and now you can see, now I'm trying to make as a result plus is equals to str dot caret I. After this, now what I'm doing it, I'm trying to simply return the result. Simply I'm trying to return this particular result. Okay, before calling this, now observe carefully what I'm doing here. So this loop is important. This loop is important. Now if you observe the string I'm going to make as a this one. The string I'm going to make as a string. Getting the point? Now here str is equals to string I given. Whenever I'm giving this particular string, what is the length we can find out? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 we are getting. The length we are having 6. And whenever we are making the -1, I value how much? I value is nothing but 5. Because the length we are having 6, now I'm making as a I value 5. Whenever I'm making the I value as a 5, what happens internally? What happens internally? The loop from top to bottom it is repeat. Top to bottom it is repeats. So now I greater than or equals to 0. I the greater than or equals to 0. So 5 is the greater value compared to this particular 0. Condition will satisfy. Now you can see how many times this particular condition is going to satisfy. 5 less than 0. Okay, 4 less than 0, and 3 greater than or equal to 0, and 2 greater than or equal to 0, and so 1 greater than or equals to 0, and finally 0 greater than or equal to 0. Up to this will satisfy the condition. Whenever I'm making -1 greater than or equal to 0, this particular expression will return as a false. Okay, these many statements this particular loop is going to repeat. So 0 to 5, these many times the loop is repeated. Okay, now we identify the condition how many times it's going to repeat it. Now what we need to understand, so now you can see this particular string internally it is going to store like this. Okay, this will store as a S T R I N G. Okay, so this here I'm trying to make S T R I N G, and now you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, and the condition we are having 5. Okay, 0 to 5. Okay, 0 to 5 we are making the length. The length we are having 6 because it is started with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. Length it is going to start with 1, and indexes start going to 0. So this section we already discussed in the previous example. So same thing it is applicable for any array. Not only this particular string, if you are trying to write any array, same format. Now observe carefully. I value 5. Whenever we are writing this caret method, here I'm trying to providing first value. First value, what is the value we are going to provide here? 5 we are going to provide. Why we are providing the 5? Because I value right now 5. I value right now we are having 5. Whenever I'm calling this particular caret method, what happens internally? What is in the fifth index location? What is the character it is going to available? The character it is going to store. So what is the character now it is available in the fifth index location? Index is this. This is the indexes. Okay. So we need to understand the below one. Now fifth index location. What is we are having right now? G. Okay. The G it is going to load it. Now the G it is going to store it into this particular result. Later 4. Okay, because it is trying to decrease like this. It will try to decrease like this. Why it is decreasing? Here we are using I minus minus. Okay, here we are using I minus minus. So this is important. Because of this, it is trying to decreasing the all the values here. Okay, after this, what happens internally? 4. 5 completed now. I value will become 4. Whenever the I value 4, the caret this method is going to modify with the 4. Right now, G. Okay, so after G, now it is appended with the N, and later it will become 3. Okay, it will become 3. So whenever we are having 3, what is we are having? I. Okay, later it is become 2. What we are having? R. Okay, and 1. 1 we are having T, and 0. In the 0 index location, yes. After yes, now I value will become minus 1. When the I value will become minus 1, what happens internally here? What happens internally? So this is getting this is the minus 1, it is returning false. This is important. So just I'm making str as a string. So just for understanding, here I implemented str as a string. Okay, how first time I explaining this, how it is working internally. With help of this particular string, how it is implementing this. Okay, so this is the way of writing. Now you can see finally it is converted like this: GNIRTS. Okay, if you read this from right to left, STRING. Okay, from here to, if you read like this, GNIRTS. So this is the reverse format of this particular given string. Okay, so any questions regarding this particular diagram? Anyone having any questions? This is important way of converting the string, and the entire section we define inside this particular lambda body. Whatever we are discussing here, this particular code we write inside this particular lambda body. Okay, I'm trying to clear this diagrams here. Now observe. So we already identified here. So we define this particular body. Now I'm going to call. How I'm trying to call this particular? So here, if you observe, first one we'll call as a string. Okay. So this particular string reverse. And f1 dot function method I'm calling, and here I'm passing string. Okay, I will explain now. Observe carefully what I'm doing it. Here I'm trying to run this. Now whenever I'm running, now you can see string reverse. Whatever the string we are providing here, so this is the reverse, GNIRTA. So just now we discussed about the how this particular string it is converting as a reverse it. Okay, so this is the string I'm providing here. This is the string I'm providing. For example, if I'm going to provide something like lambda reverse. Now I'm going to change as a, instead of string, lambda I'm making. Whenever I'm making lambda, now you can see, so this is the original lambda. Now we converted into the reverse. Now we converted into the reverse here. Okay, so this is important here. This is important the information we need to understand, the reverse logic, whatever the logic we are writing inside the lambda body. And the lambda body, it is expecting multiple lines. Now, whenever we are calling this particular function, the function, it is going to override with this particular body statements here. Okay, this is important. So any questions regarding this particular line, whatever we are printing, the line number 46, 31 to 35. See, the 31 to 35, this section is different. This is we are trying to find out the factorial. So this is we are trying to find out the string reverse. Okay, factorial is nothing but we are trying to find out the example 1 into 2 into, okay, 3 into, based on the number, whatever the number we are giving. For example, I am giving as a 6. So 6, whenever I am trying to give, it will try to convert like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the result we are going to get? That result is going to return. If you are trying to multiply all the values, what is the result we are going to get? It will return by this factorial. Okay, it will return the factorial. Now, what you need to understand this, you can write the same thing. For example, this value I'm going to give as a 6. Okay, n value I'm making the 6. Whenever I'm making the 6, condition I less than or equals to n. I less than or equals to n. N, what is the value we given? 6 we given. So now you can compare with 1 less than or equals to 6. Okay, 2 less than or equals to 6, and 3 less than or equals to 6, and 4 less than or equals to 6, and 5 less than or equals to 6, and finally 6 less than or equals to 6. Whenever you are making the 7, it will not satisfy because 7 is a bigger value, 6 is a smaller value. So when this particular statement is written, it will return as a false here. Up to this, what happens internally? 1 to 6 time it is calling, and now you can see here I'm using the multiplication. Whatever the multiplication just now I explained here. So this is, it will do the multiplication 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into and 5 into 6 here. So finally, whatever the result we are having, now I'm trying to store into this particular result, it will try to return the value. So this is the condition we need to identify first. These many times the particular loop is going to repeat. The line number 33, whatever the loop we provided, the loop is going to repeat it like this. Okay, so this is important example for the factorial purpose here, and this is we provided as a reverse purpose. But both example we define inside the lambda body. So instead of defining the single statement, now we come up with multiple statements here. Okay, so this is all about the important example we need to understand. So for example, whatever I implemented, if I'm going to explain this, like if I'm going to run, instead of 3, if I'm going to provide as a 6, now you can see it is getting as a 720. Okay, it is trying to get as a 720. For example, here, now what I am doing here, if I am trying to print this, how it is going to print. For example, here, what I am doing it, in the same println, now I am going to write I. Here I am using X, I am using it, and here I am going to make as a something like N. Okay. So just for understanding, I'm trying to print this. Now you can see 1 into, okay, so if I'm doing this, I can print this one more statement so that we can easily understand here. So now we cannot understand what happening. Now you can see how it is writing internally. Now first time 1 into 6. What is the n value? N value we are having 6. So every time it is doing this particular 6. So result here. Sorry, not n. We need to make as a result here. So we need to make as a result here, so that we can easily understand the output here. So 1 into 1, 2 into 1, 3 into 2, 4 into 6, and 5 into 24, 6 into 120. Why I'm getting these values? Because if you observe carefully, the result how it is printing, 1 into 1, sorry. 1 into 2, we are going to get as a 2. And so 2 into 3. So 2 into 3, how much we are getting? 6 here. So 6 into 4. How much we are going to get here? Something like 24. 24 into 5. Okay, 24 into 5. Something we are going to get as a 120. 120 into 6. How much we are getting here? Finally, we are getting 720. So this is, if you are trying to multiply this, we will get the same. Okay, so 1 into 2, 2 we are going to get, and 2 into 3, 6 we are going to get. The result here getting 6, and 6 into 4. So we are going to get here 24, and 24 into 5 we are going to get as a 120. Okay, and 120 into 6 we are going to get as a something like a 720. The result it is modifying like this, but finally it will try to do the same whatever I'm trying to explain in here. Okay, this is the way of converting the value into internally. The result, if you see the right side section, this is, we'll call it as a result here, and the left side it is a I value. Left side is a I value. Now you can see here I'm first I value printing. Just I'm printing the X, the string statement, and finally I'm printing the result. So this result is modifying here. How it is modifying here? Based on this particular expression. Based on this particular expression, modifying 1 into 1, 1, and 2 into 1 also we're getting 1. So later, now it is modifying the result to 2. Later 6 is modifying 24 and 120. Finally 720. Okay, I did not modify this particular value, because of that it is printing as it is. But observe carefully the factorial, how it is working. So just we are calling the test method, and internally the lambda it is going to print. Okay, this is all about the lambda body, the two important example we discussed here. Now I'm moving into the another important example called the generic functional interface. So we identified the functional interface. So the functional interface can contain only one and only one abstract method. But here, what I need to write here, how this particular generic functional interface it is going to work. How this particular generic functional interface it is going to work. So this is the important example we need to understand here. So I'm trying to write now. So instead of writing the information here, string function only I'm going to make. The string function only I'm going to make here. We can make as a T directly. We can make as a T directly. You can call this same function for the two cases. What are the two cases we can make? Instead of this particular numeric function, you can call same string function. Okay, you can call this particular string function, but we can pass the integer. We can pass this particular integer here. Now what happening internally? Method test into undefine the string function. No. Why? It should be basically, it should call the same thing, whatever, anything, any reference where nothing. So it is expected to result integer. Okay, basically the problem method int is undefined the integer. If it is undefined, why? Anything we are missing? I think no. It should work basically.
Sir, but the test method you are calling
Yes, correct. We need to no need to call the test. I think here we need to call function. Yes, correct. So I am calling the different method. So because of that, we are getting an error. Now you can see, just whenever I converted into the functional interface, I did not modify anything the code. I am using the as it is. Just we are calling the same function. Whatever the function we implemented inside this particular functional interface. So basically, we need to call this particular function. Now here I'm calling the same. So here you can see, if I'm going to enable this also, here I need to make string here. Okay, whenever I'm making this particular string, observe, I'm not getting any error. the same functional interface, whatever the functional interface, the string functional interface we are trying to use in the two cases. Here also I'm using the same string function, but here I'm trying to work with the integer purpose, and here I'm trying to work for the string purpose. But how we are defining? This is the type here we are trying to declaring it. So whenever we are trying to write the functional interface here, so this is a way of writing the simple the functional interfaces. Okay, this is important here. This particular method you can write any example here. Okay, this is we can understand this particular example. Now what we need to understand, another one of the important example we are discussing, how we can pass the lambda as a parameter. Getting the point? This is important, we need to understand. Right now this lambda we are declaring as a body. Okay, this particular lambda, explicitly we are defining one parameter, and we have a R operator, and we are defining the lambda body. Now this entire example, what up to here, whatever I'm trying to declare this entire section, I want to provide method parameter. Getting the point? So this particular example, I want to provide to the method parameter. How we can provide? This is we are going to understand very carefully here. So observe carefully how I'm trying to write the lambda, how we can pass to the method parameter. Okay, now I'm going to write, so we'll use the same string function, something like what we can do here. I'm going to write a one more function. So instead of doing this, we can go for the one more function. Okay, some function I'm defining. So this is the functional interface here. Now you can see the same code. I'm not going to modify anything. I think no need to write, so we'll delete this. We'll use the same class, whatever we used here. I'm trying to delete this. Okay, this is only we'll try to use. Now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to create a one class here. Okay, I'm trying to create a one class here. Now lambda as a argument. Okay, lambda as arguments here. So this particular class I'm trying to create here, only I'm going to create a main method also, and here I will create a one static method. Okay, one static method I'm trying to create, and this particular static method will return the string. Otherwise what we can do, we can make as a type here. Okay, here I'm making the type, so this particular type it will return, and the method, so what I'm trying to write as a something like the particular method, it will try to return as a what we can provide generic operation. The method I'm trying to write as a generic operation, and this will expect as a first parameter. Okay, type I'm providing it, and no, first parameter we need to provide string function. Here I'm trying to make this particular string function, something like x I'm making it, and after providing this particular x here, so we are going to provide one more t. This is something like a value. Okay, something like a value. Now you can see this is the one of the generic and one functional interface. Okay, generic functional interface we define, and the functional interface I'm trying to add as a method parameter. Okay, now what we need to understand here, I'm going to call x dot the function method I'm calling, and here I'm going to pass v. So observe carefully, this is very important because of this particular functional interface. Now what I'm doing, I'm trying to create a one generic method here. Now you can see the method is having the behavior called static, and it is trying to return the t. Okay, it is trying to return the t. And the name of the method we are like providing as a generic operation, and it is a parameter. What is the parameter? First parameter it is expecting the functional interface. Okay, here we define the string function. Basically string function is one of the functional interface, and t. So here we are trying to providing one parameter to expect something. Okay, so two parameter we are having. First parameter we are passing as a one generic function interface. Second one, the normal parameter, the one we are going to pass to this particular function. Okay, this is a way of writing the one of the generic method, and internally the generic method I'm going to call by using the lambda information, by using this particular lambda. So now observe carefully how I'm trying to write here. So first I'm going to write here input str, this particular input str lambda something added, lambda added sub power to our Java. This particular lambda syntax is added in our Java language. Okay, just for simple message I'm providing, and here string output str. Just I'm trying to declare this particular output str. So if we observe carefully, now what I'm doing, I'm going to call this particular method. So something like a generic operation method I'm calling it, and here now what I'm doing, the first x here, how we can pass this particular x here. If you observe, I'm trying to pass this particular str, and after passing this particular str, okay, after passing this particular str, here I'm going to call str dot length method. Now you can see I'm not getting the length method. So why I'm not getting this particular length here? This is basically what we need to understand here. We need to write the one of the important example called the generic type here. Okay, generic type here. Now you can see, so output str I'm trying to print here. Now if I'm going to write here, so still I'm not getting here. Still I'm not getting the point. This is important here. Now if you observe carefully, here I'm going to write string function, and this particular t I'm going to make as a string. After making this particular string, well, now what I will do, st I'm making something like uppercase. U case is nothing but uppercase, and here now you can see str I'm passing, and this is an array str dot, so two uppercase. Okay, two uppercase. Now this particular information, this particular u case, here I'm going to pass here. Okay, and here what is the value I'm going to provide? Something like input str. Input str. This is very important example we are discussing here. Now if you observe carefully, here I'm trying to write this is basically it is a lambda. Okay, the line whatever I'm trying to highlight here, this is something like a lambda. Now what I'm doing, I'm trying to pass u case, whatever the u case we are going to get, the u case I'm trying to pass here. Okay, this is one of the important example we need to understand. After passing this, now if I'm going to print this particular outstr, output str, now we'll understand the output value. Now you can see lambda, whatever the input string we provided, this particular input string, now everything it is converted as a uppercase. Okay, everything now it is converted as a uppercase. So another important information what we need to understand, whatever we defined here. Okay, whatever we defined. So if I'm going to copy this example, here I'm trying to write. Okay, so this entire information, whatever we are highlighting, this entire information, now again I'm going to copy like this. Here I'm going to copy like this. Now you can see, so here I'm trying to use a integer. Here we cannot use a use case. I want to pass as a nt, and this particular output I'm going to give as a something like 8 I'm giving, and this output basically wrong here, like the data type we provide as a different one. Now what I will do, here I'm going to make as a integer something like ou. Okay, integer ou I'm trying to print, and finally if I'm going to call the ou, it will print the different value. It will print the different value. Now you can see, so this is the result we are getting. This is the particular result we are getting. So whenever I'm trying to find out the factorial of this particular 8, internally it is trying to return 4320. Okay, 40, 320. But what we are doing is, so this is the one method we are having, generic operation method, and the generic operation method I'm passing NT. NT is something like here reference variable of this particular lambda. NT is something like NT reference variable of this particular lambda. The lambda I'm passing as a parameter. Okay, and another one I'm giving the value. Another one I'm trying to give the value. Internally, this function method it is going to call. So this is the one generic function. Okay, this is the one generic function I define. Now if we observe carefully, another method how I'm trying to pass. So you can see something like, I think we are having integer or something like the name of the method fact. Name of the method fact. Fact is nothing but factorial I'm going to call, and what we are having something numeric, something numeric test. We'll see the numeric test what is doing. Okay, numeric test we can use. Now where I'm trying to write here? No, I think here. Okay, here I'm trying to write the numeric test, something like a TE, and I'm going to provide as a int value, into value. Okay, this is one more method. This is not the generic method, just for understanding purpose, the simple method I'm defining how it will work internally. TE dot test method internally calling and value I'm passing. Okay, this is the numeric test method I'm calling, and I will make this method also static. Okay, this method also I'm making as a static. We can make, I think, int here because the method it is trying to return int. So observe carefully, whatever I'm trying to write this, instead of calling this particular generic operation with this entire thing, so the same, this particular example up to this particular I'm going to pass to the parameter. This particular example I'm going to pass to the parameter. Now the TA I'm trying to replace with this and here the value I'm going to provide as a 3. The value I'm going to provide as a 3. So if we observe carefully, this is the fact method. Okay, now up to this, because we are differentiating with the comma, we are trying to differentiate with the comma. Now you can see up to the comma, whatever we are highlighting, this is parameter only. But inside the parameter, now what I'm passing? Lambda I'm passing. Getting the point? I'm trying to pass this particular lambda, and this is the second parameter it is expecting to print this particular value. Okay, if I'm trying to print this, now we'll get the output what we are expecting. Now you can see, I will try to comment on this. So it is something like some confusion. I don't want to print this. Now you can see only this is the uppercase we converted, and this is the fact method we are calling. Using this particular fact method, if you observe inside the println, okay, inside the println, now I'm calling the one fact method, the static method, and the fact method is expecting 2 parameters. The first parameter I'm passing as a lambda up to this, second parameter one integer value. So even if you're trying to pass as a lambda here, but here what we provided here, it is a functional interface type. Okay, here we are providing functional interface type. So whenever you are providing this particular functional interface type, compiler it is expecting lambda also. And the earlier example, if you see here, use case is nothing but it is a type called functional interface. Okay, string function. Here now you can see here we define the string function. It is a functional interface type. So just I'm explaining the two cases here. First, we can pass directly the functional interface references, or we can pass this particular lambda also. This is the way of passing the lambda, and this is a way of functional interface. Use case is the reference variable of this particular functional interface. Something like a functional interface here. Okay. So any questions here? Anyone having any questions regarding this particular lambda, how I'm trying to pass method parameter? Okay, so this is very important example. Whenever if I want to pass any parameter, now first we need to define the functional interface. Based on the functional interface only, Lambda, it will work internally. Okay, it will work internally. Now observe carefully, we define this particular example. Now if you want to convert to anything, so you can check whatever we want to do the operations. And now what I will do, here I'm going to write the exceptions here. How we can write the exceptions inside this particular Lambda. Okay, inside this particular Lambda, how we can write the exception. So to understand this, now what I will do, here I'm going to write the one example. So the example basically, what is the example? We can write something like a double array I'm going to take. Sorry. Double array example. Basically, oh, it is not a class. We need to convert it into the class interface type. Okay. Now I converted. This is the one of the functional interface. Now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to convert it into double. Okay. So if you can see the name of the function, and internally it is expecting double array, something like values. So this particular example, it will try to throw. It will this particular method, whatever the function method we are having, the function method internally it will try to throw an empty related exception. Okay, so now you can see empty array example. So whatever I'm trying to write here, it is trying to throw an empty array exception. Okay, this is important. Now you can see we are having one of the functional interface, one method we defined here. Okay, this particular method basically, what is it is doing internally? Internally, it is trying to throw in one exception. How this particular exception we can handle inside this particular Lambda. Okay. Now, what I will do, I am going to write one class Lambda exception demo. Okay, Lambda exception demo I'm defining. Inside this particular Lambda exception demo, now what is the value we are going to write? Now observe carefully. (10.2) something like 78.3, 96.3, and 45.1 and 85.6. Okay, so this is we need to understand very carefully. So observe carefully how we can write this particular values here. How we can write this particular the values we defined here. Now after defining this, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to write the same the functional interface. What is the functional interface we are having? Double array example. Okay, so double array example, something like EX I'm providing, and which is expecting array type here. Okay, which is expecting array type. Now I'm trying to make as a something like n, and internally I'm trying to check like this. Now if you observe here, I'm adding the condition n dot length. If this particular n dot length equals to 0, now here I'm going to throw an error. Empty array exception. Okay, empty array exception I'm trying to throw. Now what we need to understand here, observe carefully internally how I'm trying to throw this particular exception, because this exception we are throwing inside the Lambda. Inside the Lambda, we are trying to throw an exception. So this is the condition I'm making, and we are going to use this particular loop. So loop basically int I is equals to 0 and I less than n dot length. Okay, I less than n dot length and I plus plus. So here what I'm doing, I'm trying to find out the some sum here. To find out this particular sum, what can I do? Here I'm going to make sum 0.0, Sum plus is equals to what we can write here, n of I. Okay, sum is equals to something like I'm trying to find out here, and finally we can return sum. Okay, we can return this particular sum. Okay, this is important here, but what we need to focus more onto this whenever we are going to get an exception, like how we are going to write inside this particular lambda. If the n length is equals to 0, we'll throw an exception. We'll throw an exception. If not, we are trying to find out this sum. So now observe carefully what I'm doing is here I'm going to call the method. So now like sum of this particular double values and ex dot function method I'm calling, and I'm going to pass values. Now you can see, so what happening internally, why I'm getting this particular error, it is throwing that like inside this particular lambda you are trying to throw an exception, but how you are going to handle. Okay, how you are going to handle, for example, I'm going to handle with a try catch block. Okay, I'm trying to handle, now you can see empty array exception. Whatever we are defining, it is a empty array exception. Now you can see this is the sum of the particular value I'm getting. But one more method, one more time I'm calling this, and here what I will do, here I'm not passing anything, new double 0. Okay, new double, like it's like a new array I'm trying to create. Okay, new double array I'm creating with the help of this particular 0. So 0 is nothing but the size is 0. So whenever we are providing the size is 0, length also 0. Now you can see empty. Okay, array empty we are getting. So this is the way of throwing in a exception. The first one, the average, like sum method it's calling. The second one, it is trying to throw an exception because of the length we provided as a 0. Whenever it is 0, it is throwing this particular exception, and it is handled by this particular catch block. And because of this particular print stack trace, it is printing from where to where it is called. From where to where it is called, and what is the values it is printing. Okay, this is a way of writing the lambda expression with exceptions internally. Any questions here? Okay, so if we don't have anything, now what I will do, we'll try to continue the variable example here. So observe carefully how we can write this particular variable example. Now, so here I'm trying to define outside of this particular sum. For example, this particular sum, if I'm trying to write outside, now you can see I'm getting an error. Okay, so observe carefully, whatever the variable I declare outside of this particular lambda, if I declare this, I'm getting an error. Now you can read this, what is the error is indicating. Local variable sum defined in an enclosing scope must be final. Now what you understand here, whatever the variables we are trying to define outside of this particular lambda, all the variables are in the final status. Okay, all the variables are in the final status here. So this is very important, we need to understand here. Okay, so whatever we are discussing here, we need to understand very carefully. So observe carefully, whatever the local variable, if I am trying to define outside of this particular lambda, all the variables are final. So final variable only we can use, we cannot modify here. The sum we are trying to modify here. Okay, we are trying to modify some sum here. But basically, whatever the value we are having, for example, if I'm going to have 20.5, this particular 20.5 we can use here. So here I'm going to make something like, now if you see, if you observe carefully what I'm doing here, some place something like n of I, and here res. Now observe carefully, double res, but every time this value will same here. Whatever the sum we are using here, the sum every time it is same. Based on this particular sum, it is trying to add this particular value. Now we are trying to store into this particular RES. But sometimes if you are trying to modify this sum, if you are trying to update something, for example, here, now what I'm doing is sum is equals to 27.9. Whenever I'm doing like this, now I'm getting an error. Now I'm getting an error because the final variable only one time it will give you the option to initialize the value. If you are trying to modify from the second time, what happens internally? You will get an error. Okay, so you are going to get an error here. This is the one of the important example we need to understand here. This is the one of the important example we need to understand. Whenever we are trying to define this particular variable outside of this particular variable, it should be a it should be in the final status. Okay, it should be in the final status. So this is we want to understand very carefully. But if you want to modify something, we need to write inside this particular lambda. Okay, this is we are expecting to write the variable inside the lambda. Now we are doing the operation and we are trying to print this particular information here. Okay, so this is all about the simple example on this particular variables. Any questions regarding this particular variable? Okay, so if you don't have anything, now I am going to stop the session here and we'll continue evening. One of the important concept we are discussing, something like method references. Method reference is also another important section we are going to write in the evening session here. Okay, once a method reference is completed, now what we will do, we'll try to discuss about the one of the important example called collection framework. Okay, so these are all the pending topic we are having. We'll try to cover up evening. The file input and output stream basically we can discuss in the 1 or 2 sessions here. So that we'll discuss in the collection frameworks. Okay, so we'll continue evening.